It is now time for Tradie Tuesdays with industry mentor Miles Primrose from BusinessSight, who's been mentoring trades and builders from across Australia for over 17 years. He's also the host of a new program that starts today on Ticker. It's called Trades and Builders Business Show, right here on Ticker at 9 o'clock this morning, Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and he joins us now. How are you doing? You feeling good?
I am. 17 years, it sort of makes me sound a little bit old, but...
Mate, it's been nearly 20 years since my first paid job in journalism. That is frightening. They said it would last 20 minutes. It did, and then I became a comedian. Now, what is this?
Look, let's put all jokes aside. The three things...
Is that what the whole show is going to... Have you just got a show of props to try and make me laugh? Is that what it's going to be?
Well, it looks like I don't have to try. It looks like it's happening. Nice haircut. Looking a bit suave there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I can do it now. I don't have to be all conservative looking. I was going to go for what you've got there, but I haven't got enough hair. So you've got the swish.
I have to get this cut about every 10 days. It just does not it doesn't stop growing.
If I don't get a haircut after 2 weeks, I look like Oprah Winfrey. No joke. Jackson 5 even. It goes boof.
I'm not going to comment on that for
anyway,
several reasons.
Let's get on to what we were talking about. What are some of the things that you can do to try and make your 2020 good for a tradie and a business?
3 things we're going to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is the income plan. So a lot of people, when it gets to doing their tax or at the end of the quarter after they've done their BAS, they're sort of hands up in the air. Where's all the money gone? Upset, angry, frustrated, whatever the case may be. But when some of these people...
What do you mean, where's all the money gone in terms of when it comes to paying tax? Where have they been putting their tax in the meantime? Is that what you mean?
I mean, there's not enough money going into their back pocket.
Right, I see.
So whether they're actually a smaller business and it's just them paying themselves some money, or whether it's a larger business and there might not be the dividends they're looking for. So one of the things that I believe they need to do is, whether it's at the end of the calendar year or the end of the financial year, is they need to set up their income plan for the next year. Now, a lot of people talk about, a profit and loss and the cash flow plan, where they're all really useful tools, but the income plan is really what's going to happen over the next 12 months. What is the actual amount that I actually want to walk away with at that 12-month period? And so the next thing is, okay, you've determined the amount, how am I going to get that? So that might be, all right, well, we need to look at a certain amount of jobs. We might need to look at, okay, well, people are doing more jobs that they're pricing on project as per hours, but they need to actually get the hours to actually get those jobs done.
Exactly.
So
would you suggest pricing on hours or pricing on the project?
You want to give the customer a quote for the project.
Yeah.
How you derive that price is up to you. But
and then at the end of it, I suppose you could look back, divide by the amount of hours you worked on, figure out what your cost was per hour for the project, and I suppose over time you could start to get a bit of an idea as to how you're tracking, right? Which projects require more energy, and that might mean that you put the price up or down.
Well, that's it. A lot of guys and girls are doing these jobs, and they're not doing a debrief at the end of the job.
Yeah.
So it might be a project that has taken 3 stages and it's taken 8 weeks, and they wanted to make 5,500 and they made 2,200.
Yeah.
And they're so busy that they just move on to the next job. Yeah. So spend a couple of hours actually going through the job and working out, where did we fall over, what worked, what didn't work, and actually, if you've got a couple of team members involved, involve your team. Mm-hmm. Now, some people might say, I don't want to involve my team because it actually then looks like I'm focusing on making money. Well, you bloody should, because it's your business.
Yes.
And Do you
think a lot of tradies are kind of scared that might be the Australian way to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to making the money this way, and they, I guess, try and sell too hard to the customer as if they're a great person and they're just breaking even, which means that they're not really making much money out of it. Are we reluctant to push the price, do you think?
I think there's that case, but there's also the case of some of them feel like they don't want their team to know that they're actually they either are or they want to make a decent amount of money.
Right.
Because the team
we're not doing well so that you don't ask for a pay rise routine.
Well, it's not so much you don't ask for a pay rise, but not all of them, but some of the employees and subbies out there think, well, if you're making that much money, where's my cut? And they don't realise there's all the overheads and air conditioning and uniforms and all the things that you need to vehicle upkeep and because the other thing also is a lot of people
repairing tools, buying new
that's
tools,
exactly
buying
where I
the
was
things
going to
that go into it. It's huge.
You and I are so in tune.
all jokes aside.
Number 2 is the standards in their business. So a lot of people say they'll go and hire an apprentice, or they'll hire somebody, and then as time goes on, they look at that person, they think they're not actually representing my business in the way that I want to be represented. That could be visually through the way they wear their uniform, how they're talking on the phone.
Yes, or just conversation with clients. I've been on building sites in a former life where people were swearing and bringing People magazine, which I think is a booby magazine, during their lunch breaks, and it was a kindergarten, and you just kind of think to yourself, well, hang on, like, you have to represent the company, you have to represent the brand, because times have changed, expectations have changed from, hey mate, I'll rock up in my van and just do whatever I want, to, I suppose, being a lot more professional.
Absolutely, and a lot of people, when I talk about this, they say, oh, well, that's all very well, but how do we actually implement this? So I'll say, okay, well, let's pick the standard of the job that you want done. You want it done to look at a certain way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I said, so some people are really visual, and it would be best for you to take 2 photos, one of what is not suitable and one of what the suitable standard is. Another thing you could do is take a video of some work in progress. The other thing you could do is take a list or a process and actually write it down.
But I guess it's leading by example, right? So it's making sure that you are a boss who is well presentable, is someone who doesn't swear in the workplace when you're surrounded by others, and is courteous to the people that you're working with, cleans up after yourself, looks like you want to be there as well. That makes such a massive deal in terms of, because I think in tight teams that a lot of tradie businesses are, they go out drinking together on a Friday afternoon. They're very matesy, which means that it can be quite hard to have those conversations with someone who is your mate, right?
Absolutely. And if you go and hire the traditional apprentice at, say, 17 years old, and the apprentice wants to do well, and you want that person to do well, one of the worst things you can do is actually fall into the trap of being a parent.
Yes.
And so there's the best style of leadership is adult, and you want to treat the apprentice as an adult. One of the second worst is actually you being a parent to that apprentice, because they're going to become reliant on you.
Yes.
And the worst one is
and children always end up rebelling, which is
you've done it again.
Workplace.
I was going to go for the adult-child relationship, but
sometimes I feel that we might have it. I'm not sure which way around though.
Anyway, so with these standards, I believe one of the most important things to do here is, once you've created the standard, whether it's by, okay, here are some photos showing some examples of what we want, is when these people start working with you, is to actually make sure that you are clear on those standards from the first week they start. Because the worst thing you can do is actually leave things too late.
Yeah.
Imagine if you started up your own TV station and you started implementing things 9 months down the track, and people are saying, why didn't you actually...
No, of course. And I guess the trouble is you can't really have a style guide, right? I've seen, like, when McDonald's hires people, they have this huge PDF of, it's probably 20 pages. What 17-year-old is going to read a 20-page advice, particularly when it comes to trades and things like that? So you kind of don't really want to have a style guide for it, do you? You just want to be able to have a conversation, probably more so, as you mentioned, showing some visual cues of this is how we do it, we don't do it this way, etc. Because every business is different as well. And you might have had a worker who's joined you from another team where the boss perhaps didn't care that much about perception. So you have to really lay out your expectations, right?
Absolutely. The third thing, mental health. And look, I believe there's a good side to this, and there's sort of as people might say, there's a lip service side to it. There's a few organisations out there that actually, I believe they talk about it, and there's a bit too much just talking about it, or they come in after the fact.
Well, they do it once a year on Are You OK Day and then forget about it for the other 364.
Absolutely. And that might be, it's not so much the small businesses, it's about the large organisations out there which are supposed to be the support group or the service to actually help these people. Something happens in our society and they come in afterwards and saying, hey, look, we're here if you need us. which to me it should be the other way around.
But also on top of that, you mentioned large organisations that a lot of tradies kind of go and work for, and many large organisations care about the employees who work for those organisations, but then have been accused of screwing over the contractor who comes in, which therefore no doubt affects their mental health as well. A bad deal can create a hell of a lot of anxiety.
Oh, look, absolutely. And that's why when we come back at 9 o'clock, I mean, the guest that we've got coming on is Jeremy Forbes. So he's the founder of Holt, and it's purely focused on the building industry, which is great. And just like I am, focused just on trades and builders. That's why I've actually picked Jeremy to come on board and actually have a chat with us.
Yes.
And we've sort of been following each other on Facebook and social media. I picked up the phone a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Your name rings a bell." And I said, "Look, I think we've been following each other." And I said, "I've been making some positive comments on some of your posts." And he's built Holt up out of nothing over however many years, and it's gotten to be a very, I'd say, it's actually doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So they're actually going around, say, having barbecues with trades. They're talking about things, getting the guys to actually open up, because it's harder for the men to, or the men aren't opening up enough. The women are okay, mostly, but it's getting the men to actually open up and talk about things. So he's going to be our first guest for the Trades and Builder Business Show.
Very much look forward to it. I'll be here watching, of course, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you.
All right.